identical with Zagabond, and then they've really been doing incredibly well. They really have, and we've been coming round to them. You know, he's proven himself. They really have done well. But remember, they raised an absolute fortune initially,
Yeah.
and I think to come out at this stage and to milk your holders, because that's really the only people who could mint were Azuki holders. Even most bean holders couldn't mint, and a lot of the Azuki whales couldn't mint because there was a problem with the website. They literally made it a 10-minute window.
Yeah.
But so they've milked their whales. That's where this $40 million came from. They literally pulled another 40 million out of their ecosystem from their clients,
Mhm.
who have already invested 50, 60, 70 million in total. And I think that this is an absolute cash grab. I really do. I don't know what they need more money for. They have come out, they're going to be making an animated series. I don't know that the world needs that.
Yeah.
I think what they need the money for is to pay exorbitant salaries to their founders and team, Zagabond included. And I think it's an absolute disgrace. I really do. I think a 2 ETH mint price is ridiculous. Initially, they were saying they wanted to try to get new people in the ecosystem, which is absolute hogwash because only
Yeah.
holders could mint. And I just think it's an absolute mess. And I haven't even started on the art. Even if the art was amazing, I think that this is not the way to do it. I've been talking about Yuga's dilution of its assets for the last 6 months, and I was the biggest Yuga maxi, saying how concerned I was about dilution, dilution, dilution.
Mhm.
And here we go. We've got Azuki doing the same thing. And then on top of that, we used to have Beans being their next collection,
Yep.
and now all of a sudden Beans isn't, and these elementals are more important. And then when they quizzed on that, they're coming out and saying, hold on, we're doing what Bored Ape Yacht Club did with their kennel dogs, which came out first, and then their mutants. However, the counter argument to that is first of all, you are not Bored Ape Yacht Club. Second of all, think outside the box. Do your own thing like you did with your gold skateboard. Don't follow a playbook that's already been followed. The reason people respect Yuga is because they did it for the first time. And the third thing was the timing. With Bored Ape Yacht Club, the Kennel Club came, and almost immediately there was a notice that the mutants were going to come and that mutants were going to be better. Whereas here you're looking at almost a year later of people thinking that beans were the next most important collection in the Zuki ecosystem, to having the rug pulled out from under them,
I saw
and
the
all
art,
of a
bro.
sudden elementals have come out.
Yeah, bro.
So that's
Honestly,
my
we
feeling on
actually
it.
have we actually have a common or I think we think similar in that regard. The only point I added was the idea that people were mad specifically. The argument I kept hearing was basically like it shouldn't have been the exact same art was the main thing I was hearing. So my only rebuttal was really towards that point. I didn't even really um I guess when you say it like that, I'm like, I do agree with the point of like, yo, why are you charging 2 ETH for this? I just kind of skipped past it because I was like, whatever, Azuki people just love Azuki, whatever, they can buy whatever they want. But then I forgot, I was like, yo, Zagabond literally um, has Rug 2 projects, and it echoes a TikTok I made like 4 weeks ago, and it was like Zagabond, if Azuki ever crashes below 1 ETH, and it was Forrest Gump running away as fast as he could. And I was like, that
Yeah, I
literally
saw
happened. And
that.
now we look at Azuki that's sitting under 7 ETH for the first time pretty much ever. And it's like, oh my God, are we about to see Zagabond Rug after he just literally pulled out like that much money? Like, what was it, $40 million?
For 38 million. I
Oh,
don't think we're going to see him. I don't think we're going to see him run. I think Azuki has grown to be bigger than Zagabond, which is a good thing. So I don't think it's a rug. I think it's a cash grab. I really do.
yeah,
And I think with
I would
all the
agree with
money
that.
that they've already raised, why was the art so messed up? I mean, surely they could have done something completely different. It
Well, they
looks
went with the
almost
World of Women
identical.
Galaxy play. Like, they basically just copied
But
what they
but
did.
we all know how bad that went off.
Yeah,
The OG holders of World of Women were extremely upset, and World of Women went from 15 ETH to where it is now at about
yeah.
what 1.5 ETH or something like that. You
No,
know.
they're like 0.5.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
No,
that's
I mean,
even
for me,
even
I
worse.
never, I never owned the Genesis one, so I think for everyone who's not in the Genesis, they don't care as much because they're like, listen, I know I don't have a Genesis. Like, I'm not gonna. It's like it's not. You're not gonna go out there and pretend like you do. I feel like, but if you're a Genesis holder, I could see from that perspective of like, yo, what the actual fuck? This is the exact same art. I could definitely see that thing. The good thing is I think you can, at least depending on the contract, maybe you can always adjust the art. And I heard that there were some rumblings of that. I'm down for that, bro. Like I just feel like that kind of stuff is sort of like details that can be changed. Like those don't need to be like.
But it's so avoidable. This is not a new product. Project. They've had the time, a lot of time, like a year since they dropped Beans. They've had the time to really get this right.
They've been busy working on art.
That's what I'm saying. They've had a year to make sure that this didn't happen, and they've had a fortune of money.
Yeah,
and like they've raised a fortune,
a lot of money, bro. I think maybe these partnerships are actually paying for them, like something like that, because like they have so much money, and then they like, why are they still raising money? You know, like how could you possibly need more money than this?
That's what I'm saying. It just smells of a cash grab to me. And yeah, man. Okay? I mean, no, it's not. Especially if it's a cash grab from your own holders. Much rather go out there, make it more attainable, let it go to public, let guys get in, let it be the third collection. So Beans retain their spot. They stay at about 1 to 1.5 ETH and have a half a ETH NFT out there, maybe even a bigger supply that looks completely different to let new people get into the ecosystem. Because 1.5 ETH is too expensive for most people, and definitely 10 ETH, which was what their project was, or even more, 15 ETH is too much for most people. But they went the completely wrong approach, but also their response to it just brought back memories of like, are these guys who we think they are?
Yeah, what did they say?
I don't think so.
Dude, I think everyone is fucking pretend. Like, obviously, everybody's pretending to know what they're doing. It's the people that are somewhat self-aware that are like, yo, I know that we don't know what we're doing. That's why we're fucking doing random shit and just praying to God that y'all like it. That is just like what's going on. It took me 1.5 years to figure that out, Philip. I literally didn't do things because I was nervous about stuff. And then I was like, wait, they like don't care. Like everyone's
no one, I agree with you. No one knows what's going on. Even the freaking doctors, bro, you go to the doctors, like specialists, you think they know what they're talking about. I mean, yes, they've been to medical school and whatever. They also just trying to figure it out. Yeah. They have no idea. Like I told you 2 or 3 weeks ago, my boy Jake broke his arm. So we took him to hospital and whatever. The lady says, yeah, it's a green break, which is not too bad. She'll just put an undercast. She's not and a bandage. So a hard under, but a bandage, not a hard over. And she wouldn't worry too much. She doesn't even need to see him again. Like a day later, the kid is in so much pain. We took him to a specialist the next day. He says absolute rubbish. This child needs to be in a full cast, and he wants to see him in 4 weeks' time, and he might need some of this. And so I mean, again, like no one knows what the hell they're talking about. Everyone's just pretending. So I agree the same thing here, but. Look, I mean, I'm biased. I both you and I have publicly said numerous times, regardless where Azuki ever was or will be, that the Zagabond thing is unforgivable for both of us, and we don't want in the ecosystem. So I think we have to say that we are both biased, but this didn't sit well with me. And why dilute the supply more? 20,000 new NFTs, bro.
John has a theory. He says he thinks that all this is to raise money from VCs to release some sort of token drop eventually. I think maybe projects on anyone like Pudgy will go this route, is what he says. That's in the comments here.
Yeah. So look, I mean,
Slow Rug, Zodicus. That's honestly like that. It's always possible. I
don't even think they don't have venture funding.
I think
Azuki doesn't have no. They haven't. And if they come out now and try and do that, then I'm going to be incredibly angry because they've got, what are they? They've still got $100 million. Bro, there are some massive companies in the world that provide really proper income and services that have a lot less than $100 million sitting in as a war chest.
You remember Hype Bears?
I do, yeah.
Like that project is like what I think of like a Slow Rug. Like they like kept trying to keep the fire lit, but like no one cared anymore. And then they kind of got written off. And then we are just like, all right, bro, we don't care. Y'all suck. And then just like completely, bro, they got like $50 million. They literally just like are rich. And I'm like, oh, my head.
So the thing that's interesting in NFTs, usually when things in the normal world, when things are less and less expensive, like shares, for example, there's a point where people gobble them up. There's a price. like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, whatever, these big shares, Netflix, whatever. There's a price point where they when they drop so far, they get eaten up. In NFTs, it's the opposite. They just keep going down because people panic sell and panic sell more and whatever. So that's what we're in at the moment. We're in a cycle. Look, I personally, if I was actively buying, there's a few times this week, and I know this contradicts everything I've just said, where I've thought, let me pick up a Beans, let me pick up a Elementals, let me pick up an Azuki. Like for me, it would have been an Azuki because I do think they'll recover from this. If they could recover from the Zagabond thing to begin with, which was really bad. I mean, their community is strong and they can recover from this, and I think that they will. So if you're willing to park 6 Ethereum away for a bit, I think this could be a good bet. And it's not financial advice, but I really do believe that. But it's just not a project I want to be a part of because I've always had that bias with Zagabond. I've never really liked that. And because of that, I haven't gotten into it. But yeah, that's my take. That's my take on this week's huge. It's nice to have some stuff happening. We got people angry. We got people, it's really cool, man.
Yeah, there was one.
All right, my brother.